Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Pod. We have an upper intermediate lesson for you today. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine. So today we're talking about something that everyone who's ever lived away from home has felt before.
Right, and that's the word we're going to preview today. The word is homesick.
All right, so let's take a look at that in today's language preview.
Vocabulary preview.
All right, so homesick, if you feel homesick, or you are homesick.
Well, yeah, you could say, I'm homesick right now, or are you feeling homesick? So it's a word that means I miss my home, I miss my family, I'm far away, or I haven't seen my family in a long time, and for some reason you just feel sad.
Okay, so it's a feeling. You feel a little bit depressed, you feel sad because you're homesick.
Right.
Okay, so this is what's happening today in our dialogue, so let's listen to it for the first time.
Tom, how are you? Hey, we missed you at the party last night. Are you okay?
I don't know. I didn't really feel like going out. I guess I'm feeling a little homesick.
Come on. We've been through this already. Look, I know the adjustment was hard when you first got here, but we agreed that you were going to try and deal with it.
I was. It's just that the holidays are coming up and I won't be able to go home because I can't afford the airfare. I'm just longing for some of the comforts of home, like my mom's cooking and being around my family.
Yeah, it can get pretty lonely over the holidays. When I first got here, I'd get depressed and nostalgic for anything that reminded me of home. I almost let it get to me, but then I started going out, keeping myself busy, and before I knew it, I was used to it.
I see what you mean, but I'm still bummed out.
Okay, how does this sound? Let's get you suited up and hit the dance club tonight. I hear that an awesome DJ is playing, and there will be a lot of pretty single girls there.
You know, I could really go for that. You don't mind being my wingman for tonight?
Not at all. It'll be fun. It will be like a boys' night out. Well, kinda.
Great! I must warn you though, whatever happens, don't let me go on a drinking binge. Trust me, it's not a pretty picture.
Alrighty, we're back. So, yeah, I guess he's very homesick.
Very homesick. And his friend is really worried.
Yeah, but actually, I think this is common, right? To be homesick during the holidays, like Christmas, for example.
Oh, man. It's the worst during the holidays because you think of all the traditions and all the things that you normally do at home and you're not doing them.
So this is something we're going to talk more about a little bit later on, but let's take a look at some of the language that was used in Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
This first one is key, right? So when you move away from home or when you move to a new place, you have a period of adjustment. So adjustment is kind of finding the right balance or doing something so that you can kind of feel comfortable.
Okay, so you have to adjust to your new life away from home.
Or your new environment. So many times people say, wow, moving to China must be a big adjustment. So it means there's so many differences that it must take a long time to feel comfortable again.
Okay. All right, so that's adjustment. What else do we have?
Well, we've got this next phrase that's really important, I think, but often gets overlooked. We say the comforts of home, right?
Comforts of home.
So comfort's pretty easy, right? Feeling comfortable. So you
Right.
have comfort. But the comforts of home are things that are different with every person. But those are things that you have at your home or your childhood home or your parents' home that make you feel good and feel happy.
So they're not only physical things or objects, right? They can be like your mom's cooking or maybe even just spending time with your family.
Right, or reading the newspaper with your dad or things that you're used to that you don't have anymore. And so those are the comforts of home. I could say, Marco, do you miss the comforts of home in Ecuador? I mean, do you have anything that's really...
Of course. I think one of the main things is actually not living in the city because I used to live in the valley a little bit further away and kind of almost countryside. So that's one of the comforts of home that I miss.
Oh, you're making me nostalgic and I've never even been. All right, well, this is our next word, actually.
Right? Nostalgic.
Nostalgic. It's a feeling. I'm feeling nostalgic, or he's just really nostalgic. And so to be nostalgic is to kind of think about a time before or, think positively about something that you experienced before. So it's not usually a bad thing. It's never a bad thing. It's
right.
Nostalgia is a good, warm, fond memory of something.
Of something from your past. So you start thinking of something from your past that maybe brings nice, warm feelings. Maybe a little bit sad because you miss those times, but it's usually thinking about the past.
Right. So I have nostalgia for my childhood. I loved, summers in Chicago when it was hot and the kids would play in the sprinkler, and I have my dog, and it's a happy feeling. Mm-hmm.
Right. So nostalgia would be the noun and nostalgic would be the adjective.
Exactly.
All right. And our last word for today on language takeaway is bummed out.
Bummed out. Okay.
I'm bummed out.
We've got another feeling here, so we're all full of feelings today. Bummed out is a sad feeling. So to be bummed is kind of slang, and it means to be sad.
Okay, or disappointed.
Disappointed. So you come into the office, Marco, and you look a little tired, and I said, "Are you okay? Are you bummed out about something?"
I can say, yeah, I lost my wallet last night, so I'm really bummed out.
Oh.
Or something like that.
So yeah, you feel bummed out when something bad or sad happens
right.
to you.
All right, so why don't we move on now to a couple of different phrases on Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
All right, this first one is something that you often say to old friends or family. When you're friends with someone, they go through periods of happiness and sadness. And so when someone's going through a down period again, you say, "Oh, we've been through this already."
We've been through this already.
Or, when you're giving someone advice and they never take your advice, you say, "Listen, we've been through this already. You should know by now that and then, whatever the advice
So
is.
this has happened before, or we have experienced this before, or we already solved this problem or situation.
Right. You could imagine two bank robbers who are going over their plan for the 10th time, and then the one says to the other, "Hey, we've been through this already. You should know the plan by now."
Exactly. All right, so we've been through this already. They were talking about the adjustments and everything. And then what other phrase did they use?
Well, the next couple of phrases have to do with the friend's suggestions, because she has a lot of ideas to cheer her friend up, the depressed one. And the first thing she says is, "Hey, let's hit the dance club."
Okay, let's hit the dance club, or let's hit the dance floor tonight.
All right, so hit in this case doesn't mean like hit.
Right.
Doesn't mean you're punching someone. It means to go to or to do.
All right, so we can say, let's go to the dance club tonight. Let's hit the dance club.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be a dance club, but let's hit that concert tonight. I really want to go there.
Okay, so you can hit pretty much any place, right?
Exactly. And this is a very kind of spoken language, so you wouldn't say this in your essays, but it's a good way to talk about plans with friends.
All right. And our next word actually is kind of interesting because it's very colloquial, and it's a wingman. I can be your wingman tonight.
So wingman, you have to think about wing meaning side, not like a bird's wing. So a wing means side, and a wingman is a guy who will go with you to a bar or a club to kind of help you find a date or a girl or someone to talk to.
Okay, so this person, this wingman, usually keeps you company and helps you decide maybe what girl to talk to, or maybe even introduces you to someone.
Right.
At a club or at a restaurant or bar or whatever.
And, the key is that people don't like to go alone to bars, right? Because you feel sad and then you look weird because you're all alone. And the same is true for girls. And so if a guy wants to go to a bar and he sees two girls, well, he has to have a friend to talk to the other girl.
Right.
So a wingman also helps in that sense. He helps balance things.
All right. So there's a whole science behind the wingman.
Yeah, I'm sure if you look it up on Wikipedia, you'll find 10 pages of information.
All right. So since they are going out tonight, they said it could be boys' night out.
Okay, so this is another phrase you hear all the time, especially among young people. Boys' night out and girls' night out. And so, sometimes you spend a lot of time with your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, and you just want to have some time with your friends.
Right.
And so you call this girls' night. For me, girls' night out, you just go out and you do girl things. Guys' night out, you do other things.
Okay.
And so in this
it's
case,
girls only or guys only. Boys' night out is only guys.
Exactly. And that's why this is funny, because it's the girl who says, "Hey, let's have boys' night out." And she's not really a boy.
All right, great. And, he agreed to go out and everything, but he warned her about him going on a drinking binge.
Okay, now this is important. A lot of people who are depressed or sad, when they drink a lot. And so binge means to do something in excess, to do it too much.
Okay, so a drinking binge would be drinking alcohol in excess, too much.
Too much, so getting drunk right away.
Okay.
And it's not healthy, and we do not condone it. No.
Right, exactly. Very good. So some very interesting phrases in this dialogue today. I think we should listen to it one more time, and we'll be right back.
Hello and welcome to the English Podcast Zone. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we're diving into something very real, something almost everyone experiences at some point when they move away from their home, their country, or even just their comfort zone. We're talking about feeling homesick. That ache in your heart when you miss your family, your traditions, your favorite meals, or even the sound of your neighborhood. Homesickness isn't just about missing a place, it's about missing a feeling, a rhythm of life that once made you feel whole. Maybe you've moved abroad to study, started a new job in a different city, or found yourself in a culture that feels strange and unfamiliar. Suddenly, what used to feel normal, your mom's cooking, your language, your family jokes, feels like a distant dream. And that can be deeply emotional. But here's the thing, these feelings are normal. You're not weak. You're human. And learning to manage homesickness can actually help you grow, not just emotionally but linguistically too. In this episode, you'll learn powerful phrases like, I'm longing for home, I'm feeling nostalgic, or I'm completely bummed out. These expressions are rich, real, and commonly used in spoken English. So whether you're calling your friend to say, I just can't afford to fly home for the holidays, or telling a coworker, I miss the comforts of home, you're not just expressing emotion, you're connecting. And that's what language is all about. So let's explore what it really means to feel homesick, how to talk about it naturally in English, and how to find comfort, even joy, while being far from everything you once knew. Homesickness can sneak up on you when you least expect it. One minute you're busy adjusting to a new city or university, and the next you're hit with a wave of nostalgia just because you smelled something familiar or heard a song that reminded you of home. In English, we often say, it hit me out of nowhere when describing sudden emotions like this. It's a phrase that captures the surprise of emotion, how memories and longing can appear without warning. You might also hear someone say, I didn't think I'd miss it this much. That's another natural way of expressing how homesickness can catch us off guard. It's also common to hear people talk about the comforts of home, those little things that bring emotional ease. Maybe it's your grandmother's soup, your dad's jokes, or the feeling of your own bed. When you talk about homesickness in English, use phrases like, I'm craving a bit of home, or I'm missing the little things. These are not textbook expressions, but they're incredibly natural and meaningful. And here's something important. Being able to express these emotions clearly in another language is a huge step in mastering it. The more you personalize your English, the more you use it to describe your real life, the more fluent and confident you become. So if you're feeling down, try writing or saying, I've been feeling homesick lately. I miss my routines, my family dinners, even the way the sun used to shine through my window. You're not just learning English. You're learning how to live in it. One of the hardest parts of feeling homesick is the sense of isolation. You might be surrounded by people yet still feel completely alone. In English, a very natural way to express this is, I feel like I don't belong here. It's not just about missing a place, it's about feeling disconnected from your environment. Many English speakers use phrases like, I'm out of place, or I feel like a stranger in my own life when trying to describe this emotional distance. These expressions are powerful because they paint a clear picture of what it's like to be physically present but emotionally absent. Homesickness often becomes more intense during the holidays. When everyone else seems to be celebrating, you might be silently longing for family traditions and familiar faces. That's when phrases like, I wish I could be home right now, or it doesn't feel like the holidays without my family become especially useful. You can also say, I'm not in the holiday spirit this year, which subtly communicates that you're emotionally affected. Remember, these phrases aren't just vocabulary, they're tools. They help you connect with others, share your experience, and even receive support. And often, just talking about what you're feeling can ease the burden. Whether it's through texting a friend, writing a journal entry, or recording a voice message, try expressing those thoughts in English. The more you do, the more your words will match your emotions, and the more natural your English will become. Sometimes homesickness doesn't show up as sadness. It shows up as low energy, lack of motivation, or even frustration. You might find yourself thinking, I just don't feel like doing anything, or saying, everything feels off lately. These are everyday ways native speakers describe emotional fatigue. Another common phrase is, "I've been in a bit of a slump." A slump is a period when you're not feeling like yourself, when you're unmotivated or down, even if you can't explain why. Homesickness often brings that kind of emotional weight. In these moments, it's helpful to acknowledge your feelings rather than ignore them. Saying something like, "I think I'm just a little homesick," can actually help you start to move forward. Naming what you feel gives you control over it. In natural English, we also use the word bummed or bummed out to describe mild disappointment or sadness. For example, "I was really bummed when I realized I wouldn't make it home for the holidays." These kinds of phrases make your English feel more alive, more honest, more human. And they invite connection. If you tell someone, "I've been feeling out of sorts lately," you open the door for them to ask questions, to support you, or simply to listen. That kind of connection matters, especially when you're far from home. So let English be more than a language. It can be your bridge back to emotional balance. When homesickness becomes too heavy, one of the best things you can do is take action, even small ones. In English, we often say, "Keep yourself busy" or "Stay active." It helps take your mind off things. These are practical and common suggestions friends offer when someone's feeling low. Of course, distractions don't erase emotions, but they can create space for positive energy to come in. A walk through a new neighborhood, cooking a familiar dish, or joining a local class can work wonders. These are great ways to build new routines, which in English we sometimes call finding your rhythm. You might hear someone say, "It took a while, but I finally found my rhythm here." That means they've adjusted and are beginning to feel more like themselves. It's also helpful to stay socially connected. In English, people often say, "Don't isolate yourself," or "reach out to someone." You don't need to wait until you feel better to talk to someone. Sometimes the talking is what helps you feel better. And here's another useful phrase: "Fake it till you make it." This doesn't mean to be dishonest. It means to gently push yourself to engage with life even when you don't feel like it, until little by little you actually start to enjoy things again. Learning how to say these things in English gives you emotional vocabulary, and that's powerful. It means you can describe not only how you feel, but also what helps you cope. And when you do that, you're not just surviving far from home, you're starting to grow. There's a special kind of comfort that comes from routines, especially when you're living in a new environment. In English, we often say, "Routines ground me," or "Having a routine gives me stability." These expressions reflect the importance of daily habits that make you feel safe and centered, especially when everything else feels unfamiliar. Homesickness can feel overwhelming, but a steady routine can act like an anchor. Waking up at the same time, cooking meals you enjoy, taking regular walks, or listening to a favorite podcast, even these small acts can create a sense of normalcy. And normalcy is powerful when everything else feels new. Another useful expression is create your own version of home. That might mean decorating your space with familiar things, playing music from your childhood, or practicing traditions that bring comfort. You might hear someone say, "I've made this place my own," which means they've personalized their space to feel more at home. That doesn't mean you forget where you came from. It means you're adapting while still honoring your past. In English, adapting is often described as finding your feet. For example, "It took me a few months, but I finally found my feet here." It means you've learned how to live and function in the new place. These phrases aren't just helpful to learn, they help you share your journey with others. Whether you're saying, "I'm starting to settle in," or "I'm still finding my feet," you're opening the door to conversation and connection. And that's how you turn a new place into a new version of home. One powerful way to handle homesickness is by building connections where you are. In English, we often say, "Find your people," a simple phrase that means look for others who understand you, share your interests, or make you feel seen. When you're far from home, even one good friend can change everything. You might meet someone from your own country who reminds you of home, or someone local who helps you feel welcome. In either case, you're not alone, and that matters. You can say, "I found a small community here," or "I've made a few close friends, and it helps a lot." These phrases are common and comforting. Social connection doesn't have to be big. Might be joining a book club, saying hello to your neighbor, or even having a short, friendly chat with the barista who remembers your name. These tiny moments build a sense of belonging. And when you belong, homesickness starts to fade. Another helpful phrase to use is, "I'm starting to feel more at ease." This means you're beginning to relax and adjust. English speakers also use the phrase, "I'm finding my place," to express the idea that they are slowly fitting in. Learning how to talk about connection is essential, not just for language practice but for emotional well-being. If you ever feel awkward starting conversations, try saying something simple like, "I'm new here," or "I'm still getting used to things." These openers are honest and they invite kindness. You're not only practicing real English, you're creating the support system you need to thrive. Memories have a strange way of pulling at our emotions, especially when we're far from the places and people we love. You might smell a certain food or hear a familiar song, and suddenly you're transported back in time. In English, we often say, "It brought back memories," or "I got really nostalgic." Nostalgia is a warm, bittersweet feeling that makes you smile and ache at the same time. It's common to hear, "That reminded me of home," or "I felt a wave of nostalgia." These phrases capture the emotional mix that comes when past and present collide. During moments like these, try to let those memories comfort you instead of make you feel worse. One way to express this is by saying, "I'm holding on to the good memories," or "Thinking of home gives me strength." These are ways to shift your mindset and use your past as a source of peace rather than pain. And if the feelings become overwhelming, it's perfectly okay to say something like, "I just need a moment, I'm feeling emotional." That's a very natural English phrase that shows maturity and awareness. Don't be afraid to talk about these moments. Sharing nostalgic feelings can actually create strong bonds with others, even those who don't share your background. You might be surprised how many people say, "I know exactly how you feel." Homesickness is a deeply human experience. And the more you can describe it in clear, heartfelt English, the more healing and connection it can bring. As time passes, homesickness often becomes less intense, but that doesn't mean it disappears completely. In English, we sometimes say, "It comes and goes," or "Some days are harder than others." These phrases reflect the reality that emotions are not constant. You might feel perfectly fine one day and deeply sad the next, and that's okay. It's also normal to feel guilty for enjoying your new life when you miss your old one. Many people express this by saying, "I feel torn between two worlds." This is a powerful phrase that captures the emotional complexity of adapting to a new place while still missing where you came from. If you ever feel this way, try saying, "I'm learning to live in both places, one in my heart, one in my reality." It's a poetic, honest way to talk about the emotional balance you're building. Another useful expression is, "I've made peace with it." This means you've accepted the situation, even if it's still a little hard. English speakers also say things like, "I've come a long way," to reflect on their personal growth. Being able to say, "I've adjusted more than I thought I could," or "I've grown a lot through this experience," not only helps you recognize your progress, but also inspires others. Learning a language isn't just about grammar and vocabulary, it's about learning how to express your journey. And when you find the words to do that, you give your emotions shape, strength, and meaning. There's something powerful about turning a challenge into a chapter of growth. Homesickness, as painful as it can be, often becomes a turning point in your journey. In English, we use the phrase, "It made me stronger," to describe experiences that were tough but helped us grow. You might also hear someone say, "Looking back, I wouldn't change a thing," which means that even though it was difficult, the experience had value. One day, you may find yourself giving advice to someone else who's new, saying things like, "I remember feeling the same way," or "It gets easier, I promise." These are reassuring phrases that can help others the way you once needed help. And that's the beauty of growth. It turns pain into perspective. As you continue your language learning, remember how far you've come, not just in vocabulary, but in your emotional fluency too. You've learned how to say, "I'm homesick," "I'm finding my rhythm," "I'm starting to feel at home." These aren't just sentences. They're part of your story now. Keep using English to express what's real for you. Keep learning words that help you feel seen and heard. And most importantly, keep moving forward. Thank you for being a part of the English Podcast Zone.
Tom, how are you? Hey, we missed you at the party last night. Are you okay?
I don't know. I didn't really feel like going out. I guess I'm feeling a little homesick.
Come on. We've been through this already. Look, I know the adjustment was hard when you first got here, but we agreed that you were going to try and deal with it.
I was. It's just that the holidays are coming up and I won't be able to go home because I can't afford the airfare. I'm just longing for some of the comforts of home, like my mom's cooking and being around my family.
Yeah, it can get pretty lonely over the holidays. When I first got here, I'd get depressed and nostalgic for anything that reminded me of home. I almost let it get to me, but then I started going out, keeping myself busy, and before I knew it, I was used to it.
I see what you mean, but I'm still bummed out.
Okay, how does this sound? Let's get you suited up and hit the dance club tonight. I hear that an awesome DJ is playing, and there will be a lot of pretty single girls there.
You know, I could really go for that. You don't mind being my wingman for tonight?
Not at all. It'll be fun. It will be like a boys' night out. Well, kind of.
Great! I must warn you though, whatever happens, don't let me go on a drinking binge. Trust me, it's not a pretty picture.
All right, we're back. So speaking of homesick and holidays, do you actually get very depressed or homesick during Christmas?
I do. Well, my family has a lot of Christmas traditions that are just really kind of wonderful, and we do them every single year. And so the first time I spent Christmas away, I was living in Italy, and it was kind of similar. But then the second time was when I was living in China. And China was just not the same. No oven, so no Christmas cookies. And no granny who, pours vodka and eats meatballs. And like my mom not running around the kitchen. You feel lonely. And then all of a sudden you get a phone call. And it's the entire family. And they're all together eating, having an amazing Christmas. And they think it's going to help you feel less homesick, but it makes you feel more homesick. So you definitely have nostalgia for those days during the holidays. But what about you?
I rarely get homesick, but yeah, sometimes during Christmas or New Year's. New Year's, we usually have more unique traditions in Ecuador. So it's very fun. The family gets together, we dance, we eat. So, but yeah, I've been away from home so long that I rarely get homesick anymore. But it's great to go back and spend time with the family. So after my visit to Ecuador, then I might get homesick for a little while, but then it goes away. Yeah.
Well, you guys should tell us. Do you ever feel homesick? And if you do, what do you feel homesick about? What do you miss?
Maybe mom's cooking, maybe family, maybe the comforts of home.
Yeah, so we're curious to hear your answers. We have a website, englishpod.com. You can, of course, also leave us questions. We're happy to answer those. And until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Sad because you're away from home. Homesick. Bear the cost of. Afford. Showing a strong desire for something. Longing for. Homesick. Nostalgic. Disappointed. Bummed out.
Let's try that faster.
Homesick. Nostalgic. Sad because you're away from home. Homesick. Bear the cost of. Afford. Disappointed. Bummed out. Showing a strong desire for something. Longing for.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Homesick. After 6 months living abroad, Ben started feeling homesick. Homesick. The best cure for homesickness is a phone call home. Homesick. I became homesick after looking at our family pictures. Afford. Unfortunately, I can't afford to spend money on entertainment these days. Afford. You can't afford to miss this opportunity. Afford. We were too poor to afford a doctor. Longing for. We are all longing for a peaceful world. Longing for. After 3 months of separation, he longed for his wife. Longing for. I'm longing for the summer to end. Nostalgic. The old friends shared many nostalgic memories. Nostalgic. A wave of nostalgia swept over me after seeing my childhood home again. Nostalgic. She spoke nostalgically about her school days. Bummed out. He is bummed out because his girlfriend dumped him. Bummed out. Don't be bummed out about the bad weather. There's nothing you can do about it. Bummed out. Our team lost. What a bummer.